I noticed that, in fact,
but yeah, it was more the fact I just knew I liked both subjects individually, and I thought the chance to not have to give up either sounded fantastic.
Generally, you do half history, half economics, but for both your first year and for your finals papers, there's an economic history paper which you have to take.
We want students to be able to study history in a rather traditional way if they want, or to study economics and other subjects within economics and subdisciplines of economics if that's what they want.
I think you've got to be interested in sort of development over time and how drawing together the two subjects, so you have a historically rooted experience, but I think economics is always an underlying factor.
You get 2 optional papers and you can either do them both in history, both in economics, or one of each, which I think most people tend to do one of each.
The more interesting specialisation is the papers you pick, because there's so much variety.
Each you'll have an essay from history, and either an essay from economics or a series of questions to answer or a problem sheet, depending on what you're doing in economics at the time.
Each essay has its own reading list with it, and you'll be reading, say, 12 or so books or articles.
I didn't realise the extent to which everything in economics that you did at school, you have to suddenly prove with maths.
You need to have rigorous theoretical foundations, and I think this course certainly does provide that.
The way in which the social scientist thinks and works can offer all kinds of serious questions to the way the traditional historian thinks and works, and vice versa.
That synthesis is important across both subjects, which I think is one of the benefits of doing the joint schools.
It's demanding because it requires you to cope with 2 different kinds of approaches to the world, but it's hugely rewarding. Students who come here to do the joint honours will be taught by, lectured to, scholars who are at the cutting edge of both their disciplines.
The most important thing has just been having a college library to just sit in and work, because the college library, it's a relaxed atmosphere insofar as you can be wearing your pyjamas and walking around without any shoes on, but it's also a really good place to work because everyone around you is kind of on the same page.
I think the welfare you get and the people caring about you specifically, you get in a college system, you don't get somewhere else.
Oxford just offers a huge range of experiences and opportunities, which I think you've got to take.
It is really one of the best places in the world to study economic history, and you can get to that by studying economics and history together.
Oxford's just a great city to live in as well. That's something I didn't fully appreciate till I got here.
I think the tutorial system is probably the best thing about Oxford as opposed to other universities.
That's what really attracted me. I just thought that sounds like an opportunity that you really don't get many other places. In Freshers Week, I'm being told sort of come back in a week with an essay. And I'd just be like, you haven't taught me anything yet. And sort of the difference from going from school where you'd spend 3 weeks sort of in class learning things, and then they're told to write an essay what you've learned. It's the exact opposite way around. Go away, learn some stuff, and then we'll have a class on it.
If you write something which they think is wrong, they will tell you that they think it's wrong. You can also tell them that you think you're right. And that's what makes it a lively discussion.
For me, I'm the sort of person who really likes to ask questions. That's how I learn. And to be able to sit down with an academic, sort of just 1 or 2 of you, not so 2 or 3 of you, and the point is you're supposed to be asking questions and answering them and delving specifically into your knowledge.
It can be hugely rewarding, and I should warn students, it's also very demanding. You have to prepare and write something and read a lot for each and every tutorial if you're going to get much out of it. It's no use thinking you just show up to the tutorial and the tutor is going to pour knowledge in your ear.
It's like a way of having like an intellectual discussion that you wouldn't have, I think, elsewhere, that you can really understand other people's perspective from it and things like that. And if you're, again, imagine if you're interested in the topic, like a tutorial is just really fun.
You're working sometimes, I don't know, 10 or 12 hours a day, so that was quite intense. But at the same time, I think if you want to be achieving academic excellence, then you do need to be putting in the time, and it is worth it in the long run.
Oxford isn't about only doing work. Whatever your tutors might tell you, I don't think that anyone actually expects you to only ever do your work. Find an extracurricular you really like. There's 1,000 societies here. The more I thought about it, the more I thought, actually, that's what I really want to do, because I kept on tossing up between PPE and history, and it's like, actually, what I want is the combination between history and economics. So I just went for it, and to my still great surprise, I got in.
The Oxford interviews can be kind of daunting before you go in, but I think as soon as you're in the room, as long as you stay enthusiastic and you have a proper conversation, then you'll be absolutely fine.
You will have to satisfy two lots of tutors, both the economists and the historians, that you are in fact interested in their subject, want to study it, are capable of studying it, in fact that this is what excites you and gets you going.
The history one was a bit more talkative, bouncing ideas off each other, and the economics one was more problem-based.
Students will often be asked to read something, and then they will be asked questions about what they've read. Those questions will attempt to find out if the student has understood the argument, has followed the links in the chain of argument that has been laid out in the material that's presented.
For history and economics, you come here and you have a test in economics, which is just for people who do history and economics. So it's an aptitude test. It's not like sort of testing things you know. It's sort of a mathematical question that's very sort of conceptual, just to test your logic skills, really.
It's probably good to try and bring something interesting and different, which maybe other people haven't looked at. So I had a friend who sort of looked at Chinese history or Islamic law, and then I looked at Ghanaian history, and I think that's important.
I don't think they expect you to know loads of topics in specific detail, but certainly if you're studying something in school that really catches your interest, either ask your school teacher or see if you can find some other general books on that, because what your interview will probably be on is something that you're interested in and you said you've read about or you said you study at school.
In terms of whether or not students should have economics at A level, I think it's much more important that students actually have some grip on mathematics.
Yeah, opening the letter and getting that out, getting the offer was amazing.
The letter comes and it was really small, and my mum assumed it meant that I hadn't got in, and she was just like, she wouldn't even stand in the room while I opened it. She just came there to give me a hug of I'm so sorry. It's actually. So that's how I found out. And it took a really long time to sink in. I was probably here for a solid term before it sunk in, to be honest.
Since we equip our students with the skills of both a social science, a key analytical social science, and a demanding humanities subject, not surprisingly, they do well in the job market.
I think a lot of people do also do either go into corporate stuff, so either go into sort of finance management consultancy, the classic corporate jobs, or do a law conversion course, for example, things like that. But there's also quite a few who do further study, who go into teaching as well.
Historians too go into finance, banking, the city, management consultancy, these kinds of jobs.
I would seriously consider doing more work on my degree because I love my degree, but I'm possibly also getting a job. Basically the answer is I really don't know yet.
I've got an offer to do African studies up in Edinburgh next year.
After the end of my course, I'm going to Canada to do a one-year master's in economics.
I didn't think I was going to get in, I did, and I'm just so happy I took the chance on applying.
I think it's really a very good, in fact I think it's a brilliant degree course.